9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Greetings, my fellow low sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning to LL3 Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful realms of planet Earth. Today's date is Tuesday, November 11th, 2025. This is episode 1917. The real reason behind central banking and income tax, plus Florida probes J.P. Morgan. Before I proceed, you can find me on multiple social media sites and podcast channels. Just type in Looky Luck number 3, Looky Luck Roman number 3 with 3 eyes, or Looky Luck Roman number 3 podcast. In addition, if you have any questions, comments, recommendations, all that good stuff, whatever you do, please use decorum. Hit me via email to ll3.podcast@proton.me. If you're not doing it, you're going to PayPal.me or cash out at /Looky Luck number 3. Well, hopefully everyone had a very good Remembrance and Veterans Day. Pay homage to the folks that served and beyond. It's just typical insanity as usual, the blame game, finger pointing, all that good stuff, and I digress, right? Oh, what can we say about that? Yeah, it looks like Mundummy is going to have a big problem because they had a financial crisis 1975 law. They believe everything's going to be handed to them and all that, and you know what? Nothing more than a wet dream. Hey, if you don't learn from the past, Sonny, if you don't learn from the past, you're damn to repeat it. But you know what? He's going to have a major problem as mayor. Remember, being a bend over Bob to the one world order doesn't pay. Oh my goodness. I've been watching some stuff on the Canadian Reporter about the provinces and the western side are ready for independence, doing their own thing and telling Ottawa to stick it. Hey, when the Federation knows best, it turns to manure, right? So, hey, I'm very pleased about that. However, one thing we always got to pay attention to, can this be a potential Club of Rome agenda with all the 10 regions of the world and enhance the North American Union? You never know. So I can't really say it's possible, but don't be surprised. Always prepare yourselves and be vigilant. And I do recommend to the beautiful people at the Wexit area from the north of the border, be free and sovereign states. When you use that in your constitution, if you do index with the U.S. or have your own territory, free and sovereign states. Okay, so that's how I see it. We gotta go back to those early days. I recommend the folks out there to look at the U.S. history, Lee's resolution of 1776, which happened on July 2nd to be exact. When they use that language of the 13 free and sovereign states before they joined these United States. So it's important for folks to know all that. And I always let people know for sure, because we don't want to see history repeat itself. We have to renounce central banking, decentralize, and tell the global institutions to stick it. No more one world order. It is deteriorating. And I love it too when you got these ginos out there trying to censor Tucker Carlson and anyone else that are critical. You know what? You're desperately seeking ratings. My heart bleeds. So these folks here, I have nothing but derision towards them anyway. All these clowns believe they're all smarter than everybody else. Hey, I don't have all the answers, but I do believe in freedom of choice. I don't have to listen to a lot of these shows. So I don't listen to Mark Levin or Ben Shapiro. Hey, I chose wisely, right? Oh, yeah, well, you know how that thing goes. Life goes on. But all you folks out there, be safe. Prepare yourselves at all costs. Because a lot of things are happening and they want to blame it on one man. Forget it. It's a wet dream. Delusional. And I getting a little bit excessive right now. So, without further ado, I'm going to be reading something here from the internationalman.com. It says here, revealed the real reason behind America's adoption of central banking and income tax in 1913. And this was written by Nick Giambruno. Okay, hopefully I pronounced his name correctly. 1913 was a terrible year for America and human freedom. It was a year Congress passed the Federal Reserve Act and ratified the 16th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which authorized a federal income tax. Just to let you folks know, 3/4 of the states never fully ratified it, so it's null and void, including the Federal Reserve Act is unconstitutional. I'll continue on. At first glance, these two unfortunate developments may seem unrelated, yet what are the odds that the U.S. would adopt both a central bank and an income tax in the very same year? It seems implausible that this was the result of mere chance. In fact, upon closer examination, the Federal Reserve System depends on an income tax to function as it does. Let me put it into the simplest and most concise terms. Number one, central banks create fake money out of thin air. Yep. And remember, fiat currency system started in 1971 under Richard Nixon, and even Roger Stone renounced it. And number two, they then loaned this money by governments at interest by purchasing government bonds with it. 3, the primary asset held by the Fed is government debt. However, what secures and collateralizes this debt? The government's ability to tax its citizens. 4, governments use violence and threat to violence to extract tax from average citizens to pay interest and service the debt owned to the central bank, which create the money it loaned to the government out of thin air. It was no coincidence that the federal income tax was imposed on the American people shortly before the establishment of the Federal Reserve in 1913. Here's why. What is the primary asset central banks own? Government bonds. What secures the value of government bonds? The ability of the government to extract tax from its citizens. The income tax is what gives the U.S. government access to a huge funding source, effectively a permanent and uncapped claim on the productivity of all citizens. Without it, U.S. government debt would be far less attractive to own, and the central banking scam wouldn't work. In short, you and your productivity are the collateral of your government's debt to the central bank. Your labor is what secures their loans, which made with money they created out of nothing to your government. That's the unvarnished truth about central banking. In short, the business of usury and tax farming. To me, a more practical, modern meaning of usury is enslaving people with financial trickery. Central banking clearly fits the bill, outpacing debasement. The central bank is a powerful wealth transfer mechanism that enables governments to harvest the productive efforts of their citizens efficiently and surreptitiously. The central bank's currency debasement transfers wealth from savers to those closest to the money printer, namely governments and their cronies. The central bank's real mandate is to transfer as much wealth as possible via currency debasement to the political class without causing alarm among the plebs. Ideally, it happens gradually so nobody notices, like a child taking only a little money out of his mother's purse each day so she doesn't notice. However, sometimes their theft spirals out of control and it's impossible for the plebs not to notice. Consider this. Imagine working 9 to 5 for 50 years only for the Federal Reserve to print 40% of the money supply and inflate away 20 years of your hard work. You don't have to imagine. It actually happened during the COVID mass psychosis as governments worldwide indulge in a frenzy of currency debasement. I have no doubt that something like this or much worse will happen again soon. In other words, If your after-tax wealth hasn't increased by 40% since 2020, you aren't keeping pace with the monetary debasement. As Michael Saylor puts it, the road to serfdom consists of working exponentially harder in order to earn a currency growing exponentially weaker. It's no wonder an increasing number of people are having a harder time making ends meet. The speed only ratchets upward when running on the flat treadmill. Outpacing debasement and taxation. Living under the central bank's fiat currency regime means you must earn your money twice. First, when you earn it, then to preserve its value from the corrosive effects of inflation. That's why many people turn to riskier assets such as stocks, bonds, and real estate, and they struggle to maintain their purchasing power. However, there is no guarantee that those investments will keep up with inflation. But suppose they do, they will then be subject to a capital gains tax, even if it is only a normal gain. That means savers face the daunting task of outpacing inflation and the capital gains tax just to maintain their purchasing power. That's made savings an impossible task for many people. Previously, people could simply save and sound money, either gold or a derivative of it, and dedicate their time to their families and pursuing their passions. There was no need for a dentist, construction worker, or small business owner to double as a hedge fund manager attempting to predict market movements just to preserve what they had already earned. Today, the fate of many people's saving hinges on Japanese monetary policy, the possibility of another financial crisis in Argentina, turmoil in the Middle East, a Trump tweet, or the stock market throwing a tantrum over a comment from the chairman of the Federal Reserve, or countless others ever-changing macroeconomic factors. Frankly, it's absurd. Made even more so because most people mindlessly accept this situation as normal. Bonds. Currency debasement has forced to park their savings and assets they otherwise wouldn't have, particularly bonds. Bonds are just a promise to pay someone central bank confetti in the future. They are an extension of the fiat system. In recent decades, bonds in general, and U.S. Treasuries in particular, have become the go-to savings vehicle for many people. However, I think that will change soon as bonds will be incapable of storing value in the face of rampant debasement. The big shift away from bonds has probably already begun. That means a lot of capital parked in bonds will be looking for a new home that functions as a better store of value. What could that be? That's exactly why I just released a PDF report. It's called The Most Dangerous Economic Crisis in 100 Years. The top 3 strategies you need right now. You can click that. It'll tell you all about it. And I got to do the same thing, because here's one thing for sure, my friends. I'll tell you this. Fiat currency sucks, okay? Federal Reserve are traitors. They should be charged for treason. Shut them down, lock them up after due process. And if you got to hang them for treason by a fair trial and all that, let it so be it. That's how I see these maggots. And here's a good history lesson. How did the Nazis in Germany got into power? The fall of the Reichsmark. The Roman Republic of Germany, the banksters there decided to print up money around 1922 for the restitution for the First World War. 6 years later, it became a total bust. The economy went in hell in the handbasket. And even a place like in Berlin, their women were selling themselves or their children for sex just to make ends meet, to feed their families. Right. And don't get me wrong, I'm no Nazi sympathizer by any means. But you have to look at all sides to this. Fiat currency is disgusting, unacceptable, and extremely dangerous. We could even go to the food riots in Philadelphia during the War for Independence. Sound money is the key. The past is today's greatest teacher. So I recommend all you folks out there, crypto, all that's good too, but think liberty minded, have a great mindset, try to get all different assets the best you can. Solid assets as well. If you own property, own land, that's half the battle. Always learn to better yourselves, including yours truly. Got to do the same thing. Be self-contained. Never trust the government. The hell with the central banking system. They're nothing more than demoniac hacks. Well, that's my commentary on that article. And I'm going to one more here. Came out today. The Reclaim the Net says here, Florida probes J.P. Morgan over Truth Social debanking. The inquiry marks as a pivotal test of how financial institutions handle politically sensitive clients under federal scrutiny, is what Dan Freeth has to say. Florida Attorney General James Youthmeyer, has opened a major investigation into J.P. Morgan Chase after disclosures that the bank severed ties with the Trump Media and Technology Group, TMTG, the company behind the free speech social media platform Truth Social, and may have shared sensitive data with the Biden administration's Justice Department as part of the Arctic Frost investigation. In the formal notice, Youthmeyer stated that J.P. Morgan's conduct may implicate numerous Florida criminal and civil anti-fraud laws and debanking prohibitions, and directed the bank to preserve all documents and communications related to the matter. They have a copy of this letter. I'll read it to you right now, shall we? Why not? One moment. Okay. So let's see what's going on. Come on. Oh, there it is. Came out yesterday. This is to Jamin Dimon. Okay. Dear Mr. Dimon, I write to express grave concerns about the explosive revelations regarding the Biden administration's pursuit of its political adversaries. The JPMC's ensuing actions in the shadow of this operation, codenamed Arctic Frost, in addition to spying on Republican senators, the Biden administration subpoenaed sensitive banking information from several Florida individuals, organizations, and business entities, including Trump Media and Technology Group Corp., a Florida corporation. It is our understanding that TMTG establishes a banking relationship with JPMC in Florida shortly after incorporating. On March 28, 2023, Biden's Justice Department subpoenaed JPMC for any and all records of TMTG, including records covering the time period before TMTG existed, almost immediately after the Biden administration's DOJ's fishing expedition began. This invites TMTG. Oh, I hope I got that correct here. Okay, good. Sorry about that. JPMC began questioning TMTG officials about inter alia its transactions from years prior. JPMC insisted this fact gathering was mere due diligence. These inquiries, however, appear to be pretextual and unrelated to their stated purpose. Immediately after TMTG closed a merger in March 2024, JPMC notified TMTG that it was closing its bank accounts. The time of this activity and JPMC's termination of its business relationship with TMTG raised obvious troubling questions. This activity may implicate numerous Florida criminal and civil anti-fraud laws and debanking prohibitions, as well as a breach of the basic fundamental duties owed to your banking customers. Rest assured, this office will be investigating to ascertain the nature of the secret and suspicious circumstances. I have directed my Office of Statewide Prosecutions and Enforcement Division to begin investigating this matter immediately. I accordingly request that JPMC initiate a litigation hold to preserve all documents and records in all formats that may be relevant to this matter. Please take affirmative steps to ensure that each such document or record is maintained and not destroyed. My office will be in contact shortly. Sincerely, James Youthmeyer. Florida Attorney General. Interesting there, all right? All right, I'll continue on. The Arctic Frost probe was initially presented as a limited inquiry into President Trump's activities following the 2020 election. It has since expanded into a wide-reaching operation involving numerous Florida lawmakers, conservative groups, and individuals. Reports indicate that federal agents issued secret subpoenas to financial institutions and technology companies demanding extensive amounts of private and financial information. JP Morgan's involvement came to light with Devin Nunes, CEO of Truth Social and the chair of the president's Intelligence Advisory Board, appeared on Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo on November 9th. During the interview, Nunes revealed that JP Morgan had inexplicably debanked TMTG as the company was preparing to go public in early 2024. He suggested that timing was connected to the Justice Department's broad subpoena request and criticized both the bank and federal officials for what he described as politically motivated actions that may have violated the law. According to records made public by the Senate Judiciary Committee on October 30th, 2025, the Justice Department demanded any and all records from JP Morgan concerning TMTG accounts between September 20th, 2020 and October 2021. The subpoena covered an extensive range of material, including know your customer data, transaction histories, credit card and loan information, correspondence, IP addresses, cookie data, phone numbers, and email addresses. Nunes noted that TMTG did not exist during the period under scrutiny and argued that the company was unjustly swept into Arctic frost. He said TMTG would do everything under the law, Florida law, and federal law to figure out what JP Morgan knew and whether the bank coordinated with the Biden administration. He further remarked, I think it's pretty clear that they were trying to maximize damage on behalf of someone. Nunes also condemned the scope of Arctic frost, saying it captured hundreds of Americans and what he described as a dragnet. The case has reignited concern about the practice of debanking, where major financial institutions appear to restrict or terminate access to services based on political or ideological leanings. Ha ha ha. Well, my friends. Very interesting indeed. I'll be very honest, I am not a big fan of JP Morgan. Okay, JP Morgan Chase. Not against the people, not against the rank and file who work there. But remember, J.P. Morgan, the person, he's one of the men that actually started the whole Federal Reserve, one of the creatures of Jekyll Island. Oh, yeah, man. They don't want to tell you about that, right? You can read that book by G. Edward Griffin, The Creature from Jekyll Island, and even the documentary by Aaron Russo, America, Freedom and Fascism. He had a good, nice little synopsis on that too. But one thing I know for sure, it'll be very interesting how far this goes, and we can't get our hopes too high, but you never know. If there's the merits to this case, and they can bring him to justice, that'd be great. We'll just see how far this baby goes, right? It really amazes me when you got all these individuals out there and we'll go, yes, master, I'll do what you say. I think I give the big middle finger, okay? Well, that's why you got the Fourth Amendment, get a damn search warrant signed by a judicial judge and an administrative judge, okay? Or Joe Biden or Merrick Garland, all these other ginkleberries out there. Well, that's my intake on this. Never trust the government. I'm not a big fan of big banks, so I try not to utilize them. And that'll be it. I thank everyone for listening, but feel free to download and share throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, all that good stuff, whatever you do, please use decorum. You can hit me via email to ll3.podcast@proton.me. If you want to donate, go to PayPal.me or cash.app/local3. I am going to try to get the steamer going as soon as I can. If you want to hit the what's that one website called? Oh yeah, the International Man, Reclaim the Net. Check them out, support them, and tell them Local Up the Third sent you. All right, once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading the love, and May your guardian spirits be with you.